Why is America's most hated animal underrated? Is it a coyote? I bet it's a coyote. Hey there, everyone. That sexy nerd is back again. And yeah, we're here. We're doing Casual Geographic. And yeah, I'm believing it's a coyote, but I doubt it will be. I don't know. Because, man, I've seen some nasty things done to coyotes. I've seen, like, people shoot them, like, for fun. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous, but whatever. A lot of animals get a lot of hate. A lot of people get a lot of hate. Everybody gets a lot of hate. Yeah. By the way, check out my last video, the 10 horrific ways to die. It's actually really funny, if I do say so myself. And if you guys see it enough, I'll film part 2 for that as well. But hey, let's not discuss the video any further. Let's be more traumatized by chimp stuff, because I'm sure it's going to be in this movie, be in this episode. But remember, please like and subscribe if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content. Let's do this thing, y'all. What the fuck?
What's the most underrated animal? See, now that's almost a trick question because of the very definition of underrated. Because if everyone agrees that this one thing is underrated, then, well, it's really not that underrated. Same thing if I ask you what animal's overhated. Because again, if a majority of people can agree that one specific animal gets too much hate, then guess who suddenly isn't that overhated? And that applies to animals I can guarantee you've already thought of. Like, I'll bet at least one person thought sharks. Well, actually,
Really?
Sharks have gotten pretty good PR over the years.
Yeah.
Mostly because we realized we
Shark
murk
Week.
hundreds of millions of them a year.
Shark Week.
That and dolphins started getting the smoke that was previously reserved for sharks.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, gorillas used to get that same type of smoke too. Thanks to King
Really?
Kong, there was a time where people saw our vegan bodybuilding cousins as violent, malicious hellspawns.
Aw.
Basically, what we know chimpanzees are, we thought gorillas were. It took a kid falling into a gorilla pen and, not dying for public perception to change. I'm talking about Binti, by the way. Harambe, that's another story.
Yeah.
But speaking of PR, maybe nobody's has gotten more of a 180 than the wolf. An animal that was once so feared and loathed that people did everything in their power to keep wolves from breathing US oxygen. Wasn't until we realized, one, we kinda need wolves, and two, wolves are actually terrified of people, for us to change how we felt about them. So really, none of these animals can be called the most. For an animal to be truly overhated, consequently most of you would have to dislike it enough to disagree that it gets too much hate in the first place. Which is why this isn't a shark, gorilla, or even a wolf video. But before I tell you what it is, we recently just passed the 2-year anniversary of this channel that again pretty much started by accident.
Oh.
So much f***ing room now.
Oh.
Yeah, this is life now. Anyway, for an animal to be truly overhated, it's not enough for just people to have it out for them. And it's the fact that almost anything with a pulse is born instinctively
He stole
hating
my
coyotes
look.
that puts them here. If one thing you learn in this video, it's that no other animal gets treated more like nature's stepchild than the coyote.
Yes!
Red-haired middle child at that. And while the human wolf arc has actually gone in a positive direction, people seem to hate their
Whoa! Wow! I am really, really good at that. Wow! Oh, that just made my day so much better. Wow! I knew it. I mean, I'm sorry coyotes get so much hate, but it is true.
cousins as much, if not more, than they did 100 years ago. First, let's talk about what coyotes are. The key difference between a coyote and a wolf is that coyotes wear the face of someone who's seen everything life has to offer and was impressed by none of it. I've never seen an animal look so done with life. Well, except for this guy. Now, I once said that wolves are everything coyotes are, but
Sand
better.
fox.
That wasn't exactly true. Because while wolves usually outcompete coyotes and straight up bully them when they're in the same area code, coyotes make up ground by being way more adaptable.
Yeah.
That's actually what helped turn the wolves' image around. Because the absence of wolves meant coyotes were able to run around unchecked and unhinged. And thanks to a diet that consists of literally anything that isn't nailed down, no, seriously, if it fits down a coyote's throat, they're gonna eat it. Coyotes were able to succeed almost as well in the city as they did in the prairie.
It's crazy.
You can find a coyote in 49 states, and if there was a Hawaiian border, they'd probably go 50 for 50. Being able to make a meal plan out of almost anything, while also being clever enough to avoid humans, is why coyotes, unlike wolves, were able to succeed in urban areas the way most predators couldn't. They're basically travel-sized wolves that identify as raccoons. Any given moment you stand on American soil, you're standing closer to a coyote than you might want to admit. For example, there's about 30,000 Wiley seasoned across New York, and chances are you haven't seen one of them. It's almost like they all have NordVPN.
Yeah, you know, actually, funny story, I actually did go to Queens one time. This was at night, though, and I saw a coyote like actually going across the walls like that. It was crazy. And I was by myself too. I was scared shitless. And I hope that never happens again. I've seen that episode of I Shouldn't Be Alive. And no, not again. No, never.
You know what isn't risk-free? Well, if you're a coyote, breathing. Threat protection would actually be a pretty huge buff to them because, long story short, anything that's in constant contact with a coyote is either taught or born hating them. You're probably familiar with the wolf-raven relationship.
And ravens.
Here's how coyotes fit into that. So wolves have no love and no patience for coyotes, mostly because the latter will try to steal food from them right under their nose, which often gets the coyote put on a shirt on sight. Now, ravens and coyotes often compete for the wolves' leftovers. But because ravens are also one of the smartest things in the world with wings, they'll often snitch on thieving coyotes over to their wolf backup. And because why stop there, oftentimes while the coyote is actively running for its life, the raven will fly right above it to show the wolves which direction to run in.
Wow.
It's really no different than a helicopter during a high-speed chase. And the result is often one less coyote to count on the
that poor
census.
coyote.
And somehow having an airborne black Air Force put a real-life hit on you isn't where it ends for them. Believe it or not, the very symbol of our country is really just an overgrown glorified seagull with the vocal cords of one. And as scavengers,
Yeah,
that puts
eagles
the
hate them
alopecia
too.
pigeon often in direct competition with the wolf's understudy. Not only will bald eagles attempt to bully coyotes away from food, if you're lucky, you'll even see them snatch the food
Yep,
right
that
out
one,
of the
that
coyote's
one.
mouth
I
and
saw
dare
that
them
one.
to do something about it. Something that the coyote's a pair of wings and a couple billion years of evolution away from doing. It doesn't stop there. Bears will often unsubscribe coyotes from life before they get
Really?
the chance to finesse them for food. Cougars do the exact same, except unlike bears, they'll often go out of their way to eat the coyote.
Yeah, I
Once
would
in a while, a
imagine.
coyote will make the mistake of stopping for a drink, only to get game overed by a gator. Even raccoons
What-
find
what?
coyote will
What-
make
what?
the mistake of stopping for a drink, only to get game overed by a gator.
Holy crap.
Even raccoons find a way to get their licks in, as
Really?
mobs of raccoons have been known to attack and jump single lone coyotes.
Of course they
That's
do.
why it's never a good idea to beef with something born with its own ski mask. Donkeys come into the world with a raging
Yeah,
hatred
oh.
for anything that even looks coyote in the face. Which is why not only will donkeys unregister coyotes from life, they'll also thrash and ragdoll the coyote's soul divorced corpse like a toy. This dog discrimination even applies to the big bird of South America.
Reyes?
Like the donkey, the rhea has an internal prejudice for the entire canine family, and that
Really?
extends to coyotes. Coyotes aren't usually found in South America, meaning coyotes manage to succeed in being hated by an animal that hasn't even met them yet.
What?
And as for humans, well, like
Yeah.
I said, Americans hate coyotes more than the metric system.
They really do.
You don't have to see a coyote, you don't even have to live near one. All you have to be is a kid with cable on a Saturday morning to watch a coyote get curb stomped by life. Wiley really spent 70 years getting nailed on by a bird that really should have been light work in the first place.
Really?
Like, if it wasn't for one animal, coyotes would really be out here with no friends.
Obviously, I am in love with this episode because I was completely right. I was like, as soon as I saw that the most hated animal ever, I'm like, it's got to be a coyote, right? America's most hated animal is totally the coyote.
Coyotes and badgers are nature's unlikely duo. Unlikely
So
since
weird.
badgers should probably hate coyotes just as much as everyone else, since coyotes have a history of sometimes attacking and eating badgers. With badgers being a possible threat to coyote pups, the feelings should be mutual, but they manage to put all that aside when they hunt together. Since badgers can dig faster than any mammal, including a grown man with a shovel, they're able to flush out animals like ground squirrels and prairie dogs out of their burrows. Trying to hightail it on land puts them on schedule to get run down by the wily coyote. The coyote-badger team-up is so OP that they're actually 3 times more successful when they go out on hunts together. Everyone wins, except the squirrels. But like
Yeah.
wolves and ravens, this isn't just a business relationship. Scientists have seen coyotes and badgers playing with each other and resting together even when food wasn't involved. Coyotes have been seen laying with their badger friends and licking them while the badgers would tolerate it. And if you
Really?
know about badgers, tolerance is their love language. And it makes sense, since coyotes and badgers apparently go way back. Way back as in researchers found a Mexican jar believed to be from the 1300s that showed a drawing of the two animals together.
Really?
It's one of the truly wholesome friendships in nature, just like Kevin and his rock. Also, I've shown this clip like 1,000 times, but I never mentioned that that's actually the coyote's play bow. It's usually something you'll only see them do with other coyotes, but occasionally you'll see them do it with other animals. Either way, that's what it looks like when an extrovert adopts an introvert. That's kind of where the positivity ends. Because like I said, coyotes are the true plumbers of nature. They have to take every for a living. And
You know, and it's really sad that people hate coyotes so much because, man, they're so cute when they're kept as pets. You know, they can be really friendly. There's There's someone I know. There's a YouTube channel called Save a Fox, and she has this coyote Dakota, and she's the cutest thing ever. She's even cuter than the foxes that she has.
The coyote carnage peaks out at us. Look, you could probably tell that I have a soft spot for coyotes, but I'm also self-aware enough to realize that if I had a cat or a small dog in coyote country, my feelings would probably be different.
Probably.
Actually, forget pets. If I had a sleep schedule worth defending and I lived near this,
What?
yeah, it would be on site the moment I'd have to hear that at 3 a.m. Other than being menaces to pets, a lot of people hate coyotes because they see them as an EDP level threat to children. Not only that, but if you're a farmer and don't have coyote insurance, I have to assume you also sleep with your life savings under your mattress like Mr. Krabs. Also, it probably doesn't help that they're the reason why Spider-Man doesn't have to be involved for Uncle Ben to still catch the wrong end of the fade. But you wanna know where a lot of the coyote hate came from? Seriously, you'll never guess it. Not with 1,000 tries. Mark Twain. I don't know what kind of childhood he had, but something clearly happened to make him hate coyotes as if one took his mother. Mark Twain in 1872 described coyotes as sorry-looking skeletons with gray wolfskin stretched over it, with a tail that forever sags with a despairing expression of misery.
Damn!
He really used his understanding of the English language to dunk on a lower mammal.
Seriously.
He even called coyotes so disgusting that even fleas would dub them. He called it a lowly coward with teeth so jacked up that the rest of its face is constantly apologizing for it.
Damn.
One of the biggest mysteries in nature is what one coyote had to do to make Mark Twain invest so much time and malice slandering them. Like, I've never seen a human being so personally offended by the existence of an animal. And if Twain was around today, he'd probably post an exposed video about them. And that would be after canceling them on Twitter. But his coyote hit piece got so much clout that it actually played a big part in the reason a lot of people wanted them evicted. From the prairie, from America, from life itself, we basically declared war on an actual prairie dog. Except there was just one issue with this.
Yeah.
Coyotes are canine cockroaches. They refuse to be killed. Seriously, it's impossible. And
They
we've
really
tried.
are.
Like, Australia
I know.
gets a lot of grief for
I've
losing
heard
the
they
war to
tried.
great value ostrich, but we've been getting got by a dollar store dingo for the longest. But somehow getting their lunch money taken by wolves constantly for generations taught the coyotes how to cope. In areas where coyotes are heavily hunted, they'll just have more coyotes. Usually coyotes come out by the half dozen, but in areas where hunters have the
I don't understand it either. It's really weird. Again, I seen a lot of people, like, there are YouTube videos of people shooting coyotes, and it's terrible. But they're like, they don't care. They don't care. They just move to another place and overpopulate that area. It's really weird.
they can have litters of up to 12. Coyotes even have a specific roll call for this exact reason. A female coyote will call out as a way to see how many coyotes are in the area. It's like their version of a verbal census. Well, if the female doesn't hear a lot of coyotes in response, that'll trigger something in her body to produce more pups. In one case in Utah, a rancher turned a female coyote into a widow. What did she do? Well, she left the area, found a male, brought him back, and continued making more coyotes. When it comes to coyotes, understand that 1 minus 1 equals 1. The harder we try to birth them, the harder they work to birth them. And no matter how much everything in nature wants them dead, coyotes will still be out here like,
You can't get rid of me.
we hate the things we can't control. That's why coyotes get no love. And that's where coyotes get their get back on wolves. Because where wolves will often outcompete them in the same area, coyotes are that much more adaptable. And as much as people like to say they hate them, we're actually the biggest reasons why coyotes were able to take their act across every state that isn't an island. When we wiped out wolves to the point where we had to physically bring them back, coyotes took the opportunity to turn the United States into its playground. And like the canine cockroaches they are, they were able to survive and thrive in urban environments. Mostly because, like I said, they will eat literally anything. You can have a garden with apples, pears, and peaches and still suffer coyote casualties. You can leave cat food out for your pet, not realizing you're contributing to a coyote's calories. And as are the rules in nature, when you can eat anything, you can live anywhere. Especially because of another fact. Wolves often rely on pack structure to survive. It's the reason why you'll almost never see a healthy adult wolf in the wild by itself. Coyotes can run through life solo or in pairs, making it that much easier for them to fly under the radar. Speaking of pairs, coyotes are monogamous. They very much mate for life. As in, a coyote will find another coyote and decide that's its life now. Mother and father coyote will even go grocery shopping together because that increases their hunting success rate. And here's where they might just win you over. So a lot of their meal prep involves stealing from much bigger, much more dangerous animals like bears or wolves. So oftentimes, it's actually the male coyote that'll go and scope out a possible bounty while the female waits off in the distance. If worse comes to worse and the male coyote gets relieved from life, the female coyote still has a chance to get away. And even though his kids have less of a chance at surviving without their father, It's better than the 0% it would have been if both parents got packed up. But the best dog father out there would probably be the golden jackal. While they're not the same, let's be honest, coyotes and jackals are like the metric system and whatever Americans
They
use.
really are.
If you call yourself an American, you probably call it a coyote. If you live literally anywhere else, it's probably
It's a jackal.
Coyotes and jackals pretty much have the same roles in society. And just like coyotes, golden jackals mate for life, and the male will dig a den for his pregnant female, which he will defend with his life. Golden jackal couples also hunt together, and they're 3 times more successful when they do. The father jackal is so devoted that if something ever happened to him, chances are his kids wouldn't pull through with just a single mother working alone. Coyotes are just as ride or die. Not only are they loyal partners, but female coyotes that don't have kids of their own during pupping season will often help their sisters or mothers raise their children. Coyote aunties are very much a thing, and it means a world of a difference to the coyote pups. Speaking of kids, we gotta address the elephant in the room. And that elephant would be the coy wolf. It's exactly what it sounds like.
No, oh yeah.
You ever hear the expression F the ops? Yeah, wolves took that at its word. And like almost everything else, this one's on us too. Because while we were out here murking wolves like they owed us oil, the ones that did survive were low on options. And I guess if you squint hard enough at a coyote, it starts to look like a wolf. I like how out of context that sounded deep and profound, but really, we're just talking about coyotes and wolves coitusing. To the point where the northeastern coyote is actually a hybrid that's 60% western coyote, 30% eastern wolf, and about 10% domestic dog, which I can't fully explain. The problem is, coy wolves are bigger than the typical western coyote, while also not being as people shy as the typical wolf. One thing about coyotes, damn it, they're gonna find a way. But the question is, do coyotes deserve the hate? Again, your answer may depend on if you've ever had a pet that got turned into coyote poop. But in their defense, because honestly, someone has to, coyotes don't usually see dogs as prey, usually just competition. And as afraid of them as some people are, coyotes have been responsible for human obituaries twice. Ever. Once in California, once in Canada. Squirrels and deer empty way more seats at family reunions, yet no one's out here declaring war on them.
Wow.
Also, there's a lot of myths surrounding coyotes. One of them is that they'll actively bait dogs into chasing them so they can lead the dog into a pack of coyotes waiting to tear it apart. It's not true
at all.
And a lot like with wolves, coyotes are naturally afraid of people. It's when they start associating people with food that things can get bitey. Now, if you ask me how I feel about farmers flatlining coyotes to protect their livestock, I mean, what do you want them to do? I get it. Not to sound all PETA in the face about it, there's humane ways to do it. I literally watched a video of a guy setting his pit bull loose on a coyote and watching it slowly break its leg while the coyote cried in pain and the owner was just recording. And that's why I'm like, damn, reincarnation really something, because Twain's still out here leaving his mark. I'm not asking you to like coyotes. I'm just saying anything with that much of a will to live and that little of a fire under a cautious kangaroo to give about anyone else, I mean, at some point you gotta respect the game. Their entire existence is out of spite and a middle finger to everyone else.
Seriously.
I mean, man survived 70 years of disrespect and a second Space Jam. That's gotta count for something. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, which you can probably tell I had a lot of fun with.
That was a fantastic episode, you know? I always defended coyotes too. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, coyotes and everything. I'd always seen that, and he just really reminded me and actually informed me about like how resilient they can be. I always knew that they were this resilient. I just never really, put 2 and 2 together, I guess, because it makes a lot of sense. And I do. I've always loved coyotes myself, but man, just the fact that they're canine cockroaches, that's a new one. Man, like I love that episode and I can't wait to see what's next. But see, I did tell you, I was like, as soon as like, I thought I was going to be wrong too, but I thought I was just being like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm sure it's not going to be that, but it's coyotes. Wow. And that's really something when you can really just tell what the most hated animal might be, or what you can agree with this guy. So it really says something that we're both very animal expertise. Anyway, this has been That Sexy Nerd Reacts. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content, and I'll see you on the next video.